What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Random Jams Geek show. This is the show where we cover all the different topics, news, reviews, and discussions in the geek world. Today is a special day because we are covering Mortal Kombat. Yes, the new movie that just came out from Warner Brothers and now streaming on HBO Max and in theaters. That's what we're covering on today's episode. With me here, as always, is Taylor. How are you doing?
I'm good. Very excited. Very happy with this particular podcast. Very excited. Ready to talk.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's what we're going to do today, guys. We're going to talk about Mortal Kombat, the movie, and just talk about what we loved, what we didn't love. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our first thoughts and reactions. So going into the movie, what we felt, and just kind of our general reactions without getting any spoilers. For those of you who have not seen the movie. So let's just dive right in. All right. So here we go. Mortal Kombat 2021. So this is the remake of the original 1990s movies and based off, obviously, the video game. So Taylor, what was your initial thoughts as we jumped right into this movie without getting anything away? What were you feeling when you got into this new Mortal Kombat movie?
Dude, I was very excited because it started off just, oh my gosh. For one, cinematic, just everything about the camera usage was beautiful. The environment was great. The acting was great. They started right off with Scorpion, his family, and Sub-Zero, which again made me really giddy because I love Scorpion. He's one of my favorite characters. So the martial arts in it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Just the acting overall, just very emotional. It was very believable, and that's definitely something to say with the old Mortal Kombat movies was the believable. So it felt like a real legit up-to-date movie about Mortal Kombat. It wasn't cheesy, it was perfect. So without giving anything away, of course, but starting off, we know there's a new character that's just brand new to the Mortal Kombat franchise. So I was kind of sketchy and skeptical about that, but overall it turned out to be okay. And then, of course, the characters that we all kind of figured were going to be in it with Jack, Sonya Blade, Sub-Zero, Raiden, and I was actually kind of excited when they threw Kung Lao in there because we haven't seen him before. So that was fantastic. The acting was great. I don't want to get too much into it until we get to it, but
Sure.
Overall, I was very excited when I started watching it because I knew it was going to be something special and something that we have never seen in the Mortal Kombat world, especially in the cinematic universe. So, yes.
So for me, I've only seen like bits and pieces of those original movies, like in like certain clips. So like I know what you're getting with that for sure, and especially with a lot of movies that came out around that time. So going into this, I really try to have no expectations. Basically, only what I saw in the trailer was like, this is what I'm getting. So let's just see what happens. I was like, the best thing that can happen is they just make a better movie than what came out back then, with all the cheesiness and, the wild things that happened there. It's like, all you got to do is top that and you've got a great movie. So that was kind of my thought going in. Yeah. Right off the top, they hit you with action straight out, right out of the gate. And I was just blown away by the choreography of the fighting. Like you mentioned, I was intrigued by the story that they were telling. They set the tone and kind of set the bar for what to expect for the rest of the movie. And just overall a good time. Like for me, I'd say not walking out of the theater, but seeing this at home, I wish I would have seen this in the theater. But with the accessibility of it definitely gave me a chance to really sit and think about it and not be distracted by anything else going on. So I was able to really keep up with the story a lot better than I thought I would, with not having as much knowledge with Mortal Kombat as some other people may have. And just overall, it was a fun time. Maybe it's not the best movie in the world. It's not an Oscar-winning film. It is a Mortal Kombat, and so that's kind of what you get. And it reminded me a lot of Godzilla versus King Kong. You have this mega, concept of like these big fights. It's like, all right, now we got to fit in a bunch of stories in between these fights to keep to keep the movie going. So that's kind of how I viewed this, is the similar plane where it's like nothing super groundbreaking, but at the same time, it's a fun time. You'll enjoy it, and you should definitely check it out if you have not seen it. But yeah, any last thoughts before we get into spoilers?
No, I want to get right into this, but it was just something different, and that's something that's important to the Mortal Kombat franchise, because every freaking thing that they put out is tournament, tournament, tournament. So it was really good to actually get a story outside of that, and they hinted at that in the trailer, so that's not really a spoiler, but it was very refreshing to have a new story that is completely different from anything we've ever had. So
Right.
that's
And
good.
it seems that, with all kinds of franchises, we imagine that they will try to make this into a trilogy, without giving any, things specifically away. It's just kind of
Mhm.
it's kind of obvious at this point that they're going to try to make more of these. It's done well in the box office,
I hope they
in the
do.
theaters. People are kind of raving on it like they did with Godzilla versus Kong. So I imagine a sequel is going to happen, and we'll get to see a little bit more of this world. They did show us, quite a bit of this universe that they have going, what
Mhm.
that entails, the kind of characters, the good versus evil, things like that. But overall, my rating would definitely have to be a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's where I was at. I was thinking when you said raving about 7.58. It's not a perfect 10 because definitely has some acting that should have been a little bit better. But overall, yeah, 7. Very satisfied.
Awesome. Okay. Well, now that we got the non spoiler review out of the way, this was your last warning for those who have not seen it yet. We will get into spoilers now. We will talk about all the different kinds of things that we liked, that we didn't like, some of our favorite moments, some of our least favorite moments, and just kind of our overall thoughts, as a little bit deeper discussion here going into the movie. So you have been warned. Here we go. All right. Starting right at the beginning, we jump right into the origin story of Scorpion, Hanzo, and we've got Ben Han as Sub Zero. We got that whole family conflict that's going on, with, his family, and, taking over and just wrecking shop at his house while he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we get to see that a lot, very similar to the opening of the animated film that we recently reviewed, Scorpion's Revenge, that kind of dabbled in that a little bit at the beginning as well. It was nice to see that in live action. Like we said earlier, the fighting was just so awesome, and it set the bar for what we were about to get. It seems that they really focused on what this movie would look like and what the fighting would look like when they were, coming up with all the story and things like that. So Taylor, what was your what did you think about all that? I mean, that was like 0 to 60 right off the bat.
Very, very much so. And again, you can only get so far away from that main backstory, especially since it carried a big part of this film. It was backstory and the lineage of Scorpion. So I will say they did what all no, they've done what the little changes that were very, very important. The fact that it was wasn't just Scorpion, his son, and his wife. It was his daughter, his wife, and the fact that it was the story was different in the fact it was actually Bihan Sub Zero that killed his family.
Right.
We know from the original is that's just not it wasn't that way, and little changes enough for me to go, all right, good. I have not seen this before. I've seen a concept like this, but I haven't seen this. So the way that they carried it was a lot different than the way I've seen it in the past, and I was very satisfied with that. The fight scenes were great. The monologue that kind of threw me off, but I was very happy that they kept it cultural like that. It was Japanese,
Yeah.
Chinese, and whenever he said, "I may not understand yours, but I want you to know I'm going to kill you," like I was like, "This makes sense."
Yeah.
And something that I was surprised, but very satisfied that they did. Because again, different clans, different countries, different cultures, it makes sense.
Mhm.
So the little details are the things that I really enjoyed about the beginning of it, especially with the fact that, like, okay, one, Raiden looked badass. Everything about him was badass. And he came and took the kid away. I was like,
Yeah.
here we go. Here's the
Yeah.
plot, and I have no clue where it's going. I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah, they did a really good job of setting up Sub-Zero as this big bad villain for the franchise, and kind of like as soon as he walks in the room, you automatically feel like he's very intimidating.
Yeah,
And just
like
kind of
people
does the
didn't
deed.
expect it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we see the super gory fight between him and Scorpion and Hanzo, and that was wild to see in live action, like I said. And I'm glad that they started that movie out with that premise at the beginning, to kind of set up, even for those who may not be familiar, of what's kind of going on here, what's the overarching story that we have here. So yeah, right off the bat, it was just action packed and full on fight mode. So that was great.
Real quick, I like how the people that wrote it were just like, what if we took the character Sub-Zero that we developed our audience to hate, and then at the last minute was like, oh wait a minute, it wasn't him, it was someone else. Don't hate him anymore. And they just completely turned around and was like, hey, you remember that guy that you used to hate, and then you changed and then you didn't hate anymore? Yeah, we're gonna make you hate him again.
Right.
So I liked that. I thought it was good.
Yeah, for sure. So
as far as we know, in the next movie they could say that it wasn't him. I don't know.
Right. So this being a different kind of Mortal Kombat movie than everybody was expected, the big elephant in the room was like, where's the big tournament? Everybody was waiting. We got about halfway through the film, when they're in the training, and I'm like, man, how much movie is left? Because we haven't got to the tournament yet. But They do get into a different kind of fight, not necessarily the Mortal Kombat tournament, but yeah, what was your kind of reactions and thoughts to the idea of there being no official tournament in this movie?
So we mentioned this in the animated Mortal Kombat movie. I did not want a tournament. I've had too many tournaments. I've played the games. I didn't want a tournament. I wanted backstory. I wanted something different.
Yeah.
I in the back of my mind, maybe that was me telling me, I knew this is going to be something different. It's going to be special, but I didn't want the tournament, man. I didn't. I wanted something else. And the fact that this was the pre-tournament, we're going to try to cheat so we don't have to fight in the tournament. 100%, I'm in. I wanted backstory to the tournament. I wanted this prequel. I wanted it like, come on. I was 100% there, ready to go.
It definitely seems like they're setting up for the big tournament in the second one. Obviously bringing in new characters that we're familiar with that will show up. So for me, I was kind of the opposite in a way, where like before, when we talked about the animated film, I was kind of upset that they went the tournament route, and I felt like that was just kind of expected, and wished that they would have gone more, like a backstory or more of that revenge story that we were looking for, minus the tournament. But in this one, I wish they had the tournament, just because I thought we were getting a lot more characters than what the trailer had showed us. I thought there was going to be a few more surprises, but it seemed like we got exactly what they showed us in the trailer. And so I was kind of like, okay, I guess this is all we have. Because in my mind, I was thinking, okay, we're setting up Mortal Kombat. They've kind of dropped in a few of these little more known characters in the trailer, and then when we get to the movie, in the tournament scene or whatever it was supposed to happen there, that would be everybody showing up, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, there's so and so, and there's so and so, and there's that character. So I would have probably, I enjoyed what they did with it, making it different, but it's funny, in the live action, I would have preferred a tournament, and in the animated, I would have preferred a non-tournament, or something closer to kind of what they did here, where it's like fighting just to fight, for honor and for good versus evil. And in the animated story, and for revenge, and in this story, more of like defending Earth. So that's kind of my take. It's kind of weird, but that was just my initial reaction.
It makes sense. And the one thing that I didn't really like about the game too much in terms of the story, the fact that there was so many characters that you literally only got like 10 minutes of story each character. This way, give me less characters, give me more story, but set up the possibility of having more characters at the tournament, because now they got to go get all these characters, and now we're going to have maybe some new backstory on them. Maybe we'll get them to bring back Joe McHale as Johnny Cage. But
yeah, they definitely tease him at the end. And see, that was one of the things that was like, man, they are really gambling on this movie doing well to be able to set up all the sequel stuff and expect that to happen initially, to where at this point it probably will. But like, to release something like this, and in the moment that it would bomb or anything like that, then we wouldn't get to see a lot of that stuff. And so if this would have been the only Mortal Kombat movie we would have gotten and it wouldn't have set up for a sequel, I would have thought that the biggest missed opportunity would have not having Johnny Cage in there. But if this pans out like we think and there will be a sequel, then we will get Johnny Cage, as we are shown at the very end of the movie.
And I'm okay with that. I kind of feel like Johnny Cage is the most overrated Mortal Kombat character. So I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because first off, he would have taken up way too much screen time with his character and just his personality as the character. So this way, I got a little bit more attached to people that I didn't really care about before. At me in the comments, I don't really care. I don't really care about Yak'S or Sonya Blade back in the video games. So this movie made me care about them more as characters than I did playing the video games. So,
well, and speaking of personalities, let's just talk about the biggest personality in this movie and the one who stole it. So in the animated movie, Johnny Cage stole the movie. We were like, wow, this is awesome. They nailed it. This movie.
Can I read your mind?
Yeah. 3,
100%.
2, 1, say it.
Kano stole the movie.
Completely took it. Man, he took a more uninteresting character in the game and brought it to life in a way that just stole the movie. Like there was definitely some like hits and misses on the jokes, and it got to a point where like, yeah, this guy's really annoying, but I think that's the point. And I think that getting this actor is not well known to me. I'm not familiar with, but like he became that character to me, and I was just like, man, they definitely nailed it, and he stole it. So what did you think about Kate? Let's talk about him.
100%. By far, the two biggest things of this movie that kept me entertained were the fight between Sub-Zero and Scorpion at the beginning and the end, and Kano throughout the entire movie.
Yeah,
I mean, if you give me a sitcom Mortal Kombat movie with Kano as the main character, it's gonna rate like in the high 100% every time. I'm telling you now. Well, not anymore, not after this movie, but
right.
But I think me and Megan both loved him more than any character besides. Granted, I got Scorpion's one of my favorite characters, but he didn't have a lot of screen time. But when he did, it was memorable. But Kano was in the entire movie, and it was entertaining the entire time. So 100% great acting, great writing, great character. Just he enveloped all of it, and it was perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything else to add to that. That's exactly what it was, and I was not expecting that at all going into it, especially him being a kind of secondary character to the franchise.
Yep.
So the other kind of big thing that happened in this movie was a lead character that was new to the franchise, Cole Young, played by a new actor, lesser known, and kind of showing us something new. Did you like that, or did you not? Like, with all the lore that they have with the Mortal Kombat, you would have thought, or instantly you would think, oh, well, let's have Scorpion lead this movie, or Liu Kang. Like that. I mean, that was a bold choice to bring in a new character like Cole Young. Did you agree with this decision, or was this something that you think worked for the film?
I think it worked for the film. It's not something I would have done, because literally every game that comes out, a new character is created and added in the story. To be honest with you, I didn't see it coming because they didn't show it in the trailer, but I wasn't against it, but I wasn't for it, if that makes sense. Right. I think it developed the story well. I think it's cool that they gave Scorpion an offspring and a lineage and all that. I think that's cool. I thought his power turned out to be cool, but could have been more. I mean, I don't know. I was kind of indifferent about it. He didn't carry the film for me.
Right. That's exactly why I was kind of iffy on it, because he didn't seem to be that strong of a character to be like, I'm rooting for you. It was just kind of like, yeah, he's there too.
And not as him being a bad actor or anything. Like, He did a great job, actor, but Mortal Kombat is not really special giving me a new character when you're giving me a new character literally every couple of games that has come out. So it's not
Right.
I,
And his
I can't
abilities
help
and just
for him.
his powers and stuff weren't anything super like, oh my gosh, like if that would
Mhm.
have been like a wow moment like that, then I think that his character would have been a lot more popular or just a lot more strong in the story. But it seems like as soon as we have people like Scorpion and
Mhm.
Kano and all these other characters that we are familiar with, he just keeps getting pushed back for, more and more backwards in the story and in kind of the ranking as far as like characters we actually care about.
And
You
it makes
know,
sense, I guess, because Scorpion was the only character in that whole movie that never showed his power. I mean, we only saw him as a fighter, and then he
Mhm.
died. And according to the lore, he gets his abilities in the the death dimension or the nether wherever
Yeah,
netherworld or
Netherworld.
whatever. That's when he gets his powers. So I mean, I get it makes sense that we wouldn't know what Scorpion's latent ability is because it never showed us on screen. I mean, I wanted this character to be like a super ninja with fire or stuff coming out of him, but
Right.
it makes sense that we didn't get that because that wasn't his power on Earth. That was his
Sure.
power after. So,
Sure.
I mean, I can't argue with it either. So, I mean,
Hmm. Okay, well let's jump right into Scorpion then, since we've got him going. So we both agree that they did him well. The
yes,
actor was fantastic. The origin story. So for me, I kind of here I go back to the animated movie, and I'm glad that I watched that before this because there's very similar stories being told here, but in two different mediums. And so I go back to what the animated film was doing, and I loved the amount of screen time that he had in that.
hmm
Even though the movie was more about him, I feel like this movie, the way they were selling it to us is that this was going to be a lot. I mean, you look at the poster and
yes,
you got Scorpion and Sub Zero in the front, and then Cole Young is in the back, and he's supposed to be the driving, plot point. And so I thought that was always weird because you think that you're getting this big rivalry that you've been watching and playing for years and years and years. So that was a little bit of a misdirect on the marketing side, which I get it. Those are your big players. You want people to
it,
come see that,
it was
and we did get
clickbait.
a big fight at the beginning and at the end. But I go to the back to the animated movie. I'm like, I love how they treated Scorpion in that. I would have loved to get some of those kinds of moments in live action, and then maybe play up the whole revenge thing, and maybe that's how you book in the animated movie.
hmm
But yeah, that was just kind of my take. I would have loved more Scorpion, but I see what they were trying to do as him becoming like the hero, saving everyone at the end, and getting his revenge on Sub Zero. Which I mean, we can't lie that that was an awesome fight. But
Uh,
what was your take on Scorpion?
I loved Scorpion. Was very sad I didn't get more of him. But I mean, it
Yeah,
makes sense. I agree with you. It was 100% clickbait. I mean, I went in thinking
kind
that
of.
this, yeah, but I mean, I can't complain about what I got because it makes sense. I mean, it gives since it was behind, it killed him. We don't have the same method of whenever he came back into the world like we did in uh, the video games and all that kind of stuff. So he needed a
Right.
way to get out. It made us. The story made sense as to why he wasn't there.
Mhm.
But I mean, I don't know. Obviously I wanted more Scorpion, but I also, again, I didn't want something I'd seen before, and that would have been something that I'd seen before. So I mean, I can't
Sure.
really
Sure.
complain
Yeah,
either.
I,
But
I I take both sides of the argument. I mean, I have my own wants and opinions, but I
yeah,
agree with either side. I think holding him off until the end was that kind of reward
ah,
for
very
everything
much.
else.
Yes.
But then it wouldn't have hurt to have him in there more. So like, there's like two versions of the movie in my head that both work, regardless. And then we get that with the animated. So if I want more
Mhm.
Scorpion, I'll just go watch the Scorpion movie. So
Yeah.
that's my solution.
See, and then it made me laugh because Bihan apparently learned English over time. Living for
Oh
centuries,
yeah, all of a
and
sudden.
then Scorpion comes back and talks in Japanese, and I gotta think, does Cole understand what he's saying to him at the end? He's just like some random dude who popped out of fire is now talking to me in a language I don't understand. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Culturally, I get it. I do. But I wanted shit, the things that I want. But no, I first let me just go back to the good things. I thought the
Yeah.
fighting was great. I
Yeah.
thought
Always.
the costume design was great. His
Yes.
fire implementation was great. Did you notice that they changed the "get over here" line from the trailer to the movie because very very Japanese in the trailer, and it was sick over here sound from the video game. So if you didn't catch it, you need to go back and watch the trailer and watch the movie because they changed it to
Huh.
make it sound more like the video game. And heard it in the compared to what I heard in the trailer, I got
Right.
chills. I got chills because it was almost spot on. And
He said the thing. He said the
he
thing.
did. He did. Like, I was like, the way he said it was very Japanese in the trailer, like
Mhm.
just his accent. And again,
Right.
it makes
Just a
sense for
different
his
take that they
character.
chose for that.
Yeah, it made sense because it was his character and his
Mhm.
lineage and all that. But when they changed it in the movie, oh,
Yeah, it had more impact. In the
yes.
way they just treated references in general, so we can kind of dive into that really quick. I noticed there was a lot of things in like the background that you could see.
Mhm.
Like the fan weapon.
Yep.
You could see
And then
different things.
she was in a picture, like a painted picture. I guess it was whenever her in the old lore back when her real father
Yeah,
died. So that was pretty cool.
right.
Megan
Yeah,
was
when they're
definitely
walking down that
wondering where she
hallway and they
was.
see all those
Mhm.
paintings on the wall. Yeah, we start to
Yeah.
see some of the other characters that
Mhm.
we kind of are familiar with. So
Yep.
that was kind of a cool little Easter egg.
Yes.
One reference I have here down on my notes is Liu Kang's leg sweep. So that's like a big thing. He actually sweeps Kano's leg when they're practicing. Yeah, he's spamming that leg sweep, and man, do people hate that. So I'm glad they like put little things like that in there.
Yep.
Did you notice anything else other than those things?
No, I was too busy trying to soak in everything. I mean, the little things like that. I got the entire time. Me and Megan were like, "Where's Katana? Where's Katana? We want Katana. Where's Katana?" But again,
Yeah,
it makes sense because her and I mean, they meet in the tournament, so I
yeah.
can wait. I can wait. I mean, I can. The little things. I was very. I was indifferent on how I felt about Melina's mouth
Oh yeah.
until it got to the end. And whenever she opened it all the way, and I was like, there she
Hmm.
is.
There she is.
There she is.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
she is.
For sure. And what was your thoughts on the way they treated the kind of the powers where you kill someone, you get their mark if they have it, and then you kind of build up that that power. We saw it with Kano when he got angry, shot that laser out, and we were like, yes, there it is. So what did you think about that approach, and was that really a really cool way of doing that?
Yeah, again, it was different. It was different. They had powers. Why do they have power? Gives us a reason as why they have powers. It makes
Oh
sense.
yeah.
I mean, it's going to be. I feel like they're limiting. Again, they're going to limit their characters in the next movie because they're going to be limited by the amount of people have that marking. So,
Hmm.
curious how they're going to go with that because Raiden said, "This is all we've got. We've been searching. This is all we have," and it wasn't a lot of people. So what? You lost. We didn't lose anybody besides Kung Lao.
Right.
So his mark went to one other person. Does that mean they're only going to get Liu Kang? I'm sorry, they're only going to get Johnny Cage,
Yeah.
or are we going to get other characters?
I mean, he
So,
was kind of the spotlight there, so
oh,
he might be the trade in for that.
he was so
But I
great.
feel like we'll still get other characters popping up. They've got to at this point. I mean, they showed us a
Mhm.
lot in this film, but I feel like if they do it right, they'll bring in some more that we'll be really excited about that, and then find a way to make sense
I
for them to
agree.
be there.
I think they'll figure something out. I don't care if they have to be like, oh, let's just pull 10 more markings out of our butt and throw them on characters you like. I'd be okay with that. Just give me the characters I want. So
Right.
I'm okay with it. I'm good
All
with it
right.
either way.
So my question to you then is, what did you think of, and did you like this better or did you not like this that they had rather than like a traditional tournament that they had this kind of like Raiden's team versus Shang Tsung's team, and like, them showing up and being like, hey, we're gonna get you, and then they're like, no, you can't, we got a force field, and then they're like, yeah, we can, we got through it, and then they just, and then it's like, rather than like individual fights, we get a bunch of montages and things like that. Did you like that approach, or would you rather have seen more?
It was classic, like fairy tale writing. To be honest with you, you have them where all your characters go to the weakest point, and then they come back and they have their strongest point, and then the movie. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought it made sense. He didn't want to fight Earth's people, so let's take him out before we get to the tournament. We have one more win, and then we get to take over your realm. So I mean, it made sense. I was 100% for it because again, we see the tournament. We're limited to the rules of the tournament. Now we're only limited to the rules of the elder gods, which means Raiden can interfere, but that doesn't mean other people can't interfere. So
Right.
I thought it was a good approach to explain why there was conflict without having the tournament.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they explained it. Yeah.
And maybe it'll pay off more in the second movie when they do decide to do an official tournament.
I think it gives Shang Tsung an opportunity to go, okay, Earth is bringing some good people to the table. Let me pull out some hard-hitting, hardball characters for the tournament. And I thought that was great because at the beginning, they all kind of sucked. The only two that were good were Lang and Kung Lao. I mean, that's it. That's all we had. So, I mean, they developed. Jax got his arms.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting approach to the way he lost them to the way that he got him back. But his was the one that I was a little. I mean, what if he didn't get his arms frozen off? Was he going to develop metal arms on top of those arms? Is this power mother box technology that he can just regrow random crap?
Maybe it would have been like body armor. Oh, you know what? It might have been body armor similar to Cole. You know how that kind of just showed up out of nowhere. Maybe he was supposed to get some kind of arm. I mean, and one thing to consider. When Cole, his fighting style was all about offense and less about defense. That's kind of why he was getting beat up so much in the beginning of the film. And I think this was kind of part of the theme of the movie. But like when it came to defense, and we have the fight with him and Goro at his house when Goro comes out of the garage, and you're like, what's he doing in the garage? When they fight and he's like, well, I'm going to defend my family. That's whenever, he got the most angry, and that's when his powers came out. The powers that he got was that armor. And he used it for defense. So I think it has to do kind of with that person and what's going on. So like in Jax's case, he had no arms. So his power was, can I have some arms, please?
I don't know. I'm indifferent. Personally, if you were to ask me again, like in the next 10 minutes, do I think Goro would have whooped the snot out of Cole in reality? I think Cole wouldn't have stood a damn chance. But you gotta have that Scorpion lineage, whatever. I think Goro killed them all. And to be honest with you, I think as hard as Goro hit Cole before his armor, he should have been dead in the first 5 minutes of the fight.
But they definitely were trying to tell that David and Goliath story with Cole, and then I'll give him a moment to shine and finally get his power, so we could just keep moving on in the story.
I didn't get that either, to be honest with you. So in his fight with Melina, every time that he got hit, it didn't like glow as like it did with Goro. So it's like, what is his ability? He gets armor and he's got shock absorptions into weapons when you get hit.
Yeah,
they didn't explain that part.
Yeah, hopefully they'll explain it more, or at least they realize that they have forgotten to expand on that, and they do it more in the sequel. But yeah, I did notice that.
The only thing we got was wraps around me like my great ancestors, something wrapped around his katana blade, or not his katana blade, his kunai blade. I mean, it just there's a lot that they need to explain that they haven't yet. So
sure, and that's typical with movies. Like you set up something, and then like sometimes people forget that they set something up, and then later on they're like, oh, we totally forgot that crap.
And hey, maybe when Scorpion learns English, he might be able to explain it to us a little bit.
Exactly.
Or heck, explain it to me with subtitles. I don't care. Give me either.
Maybe he was in the netherworld playing the original game and learned his catchphrase.
I don't know. Heck, I feel like they can make a movie just about Scorpion in the Netherworld, just given how much time there was from when he died to when this movie took place. They could do it.
Definitely. All right. Well, before we wrap up here, let's go quickly down our list of our top 3 favorite fights.
Oh,
So we'll start with you. What would you consider your third favorite fight of the movie?
third favorite fight. Okay, third favorite's got to be between Sonya Blade and Kano the second time whenever she kills him.
Yeah, and
Uh,
got her powers.
yes, that was probably my third, just because I was very entertained with how they fought, and
Yeah.
his monologuing throughout the entire time
Yes, he
was
does not
great.
shut up.
Yeah. What
Okay.
about you?
Okay, so mine was the Reptile versus Kato fight. I thought that was so funny, and how he was just like, he thought he was just the biggest baddest guy in the room. And even though Reptile looked awesome, and I love the way that they brought him in, you were not expecting that to happen. He just appears, and that was so cool. But Reptile, he's got to be one of the most useless characters on that game.
It's funny that you mentioned
justice in the movie.
It's really funny that you mentioned that, because I looked at Megan while we were watching, and I was like, "You remember when Reptile was just a ninja with a green gi?" And she goes, "Yep." And I was like, "I missed that Reptile." It's like, just it's ninjas. Now he went from
look like a velociraptor,
Yeah. And then he slowly became a giant humanoid lizard dude. And I was like, I remember whenever. I mean, he's always been a reptile back in the old games to now, but like it's just his slowly like undevelopment from man to reptile over the years has just been funny to me.
All right. So what's your number 2 favorite fight?
So my second favorite fight was probably the fight between Cabal and Liu Kang, because Liu Kang looked freaking awesome. I didn't need this big, jerked up, bulky Liu Kang. I didn't want that. They gave me a guy with like literally less than 2% body fat, full control over his body, a pure 100% like Shaolin monk.
Yeah.
Like, it gave me the Liu Kang that I was looking for. And
it was the actor that played the Black Power Ranger in the 2017 Power Rangers movie. So that was cool to see him back into, something like this.
And then Cabal, his character was freaking great. His power was executed very well. That acting, hilarious. The conversation between him and Kano was great. And then of course you get Liu Kang's Fire Dragon, and you get his iconic rapid air kicks.
Yes,
but we didn't get the high pitched like, right. But I mean, come on, I'll take what I can get. But that fight was probably my second favorite fight, because it was perfect. The monologue and the fight scenes, the choreography, great.
Exactly. Okay, so my number 2 was Kung Lao and Natara. So this is one where we got to see an amazing fatality, and he says the thing, flawless victory. So that was such a awesome fight. She's flying around, Bat Lady, #Bat Lady, flying around, and he takes his helmet off and throws it like Captain America, throws it at her, it bounces around and catches it and things like that. And then all of a sudden he turns it into a buzzsaw in the ground, and here she comes and just nails her right down the middle, just straight down the middle, slices her into 2, and that was all that was said there. So that was definitely a flawless victory and an awesome fatality. What was your reaction to that?
the moment that hat started spinning in the ground, I was like, "This is for the game. This is for the game. Let's go."
He's doing the thing. He's doing the thing. There's a lot of moments like that.
I was not disappointed. One, I thought she was good. She was good.
She's a newer character, I believe.
Yeah, and she was a good representation. They did a good job with her. And when they killed her off, I was like, that was the best way they could have done it. I mean,
yeah, definitely. I mean, and he was just like, he was one of the standout characters to me. Like, even though he was there for a short amount of time, I thought the way they treated his character was so awesome. And obviously him getting that flawless victory was really cool. Even though his fate in the movie is not, the greatest situation. but I think that made up for him, you know, kicking the bucket later and getting his soul ripped out.
I didn't want him to die, but it made so. I'll take what I can get.
All right, so we're gonna both talk about our number ones because we know exactly what that is, and that is the end battle between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. The reason we bought the tickets to go see it, which we would have if we could have gotten in the seat in the theater, but the reason we paid the subscription price for HBO Max was to see Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight. So Taylor, let's get into that right before we wrap up here. What was your favorite part about that fight?
All of it. I couldn't have been more excited. Any of it. The moment he grasped that bloody kunai, I knew that Scorpion was coming. I knew I know the trade, but I knew that it was coming. And the moment he clipped him with his chained kunai and pulled it back, said, "Get over here," I was giddy and ready to go, my dude, because I knew it was coming.
Exactly.
And first off, I got to give it to the fact that they didn't make them look alike. You had Sub-Zero with his slick top, his facial respirator, and then you had just Scorpion with his just respirator or his ninja mask. I'm sorry.
Respirator.
That's the samurai mask, and I feel like Sub-Zero's was more of a respirator. I mean, it wasn't as much as a samurai mask as Scorpion's was, and then his hood. So it was different representations from the games that I got to see two different types of the two characters that they have. So
rather than just one being yellow and one being blue in the same costume, like
basically like the old Mortal Kombat from back in the day, which is what
exactly.
So
I'm gonna be the yellow one, you can be the blue one,
right? And Reptile will be the green one. We're good. So for one, just the look was great.
And for sure.
There's no way you just can't top two like martial arts masters going in, or if it's just choreographed fighting. I was fooled either way. So I thought literally they went to these temple of fighting professionals like, "Hey, do you want to be a movie? By the way, can you act?" It's kind of like Fresh Prince when no one asked him if he can act, but they just threw him in a TV show. Like, "Hey, do you guys want to fight?
Let's make it happen."
Act too. So I'm going to let you give your moment because I could go on. This could be an hour in itself, this fight. So I'm going to let you give me your best parts of this fight.
I mean, I'll have to say, I don't remember exactly what happened, but his finishing move when he finally kills him, like that was just so. And then of course the get over here, like that was the fan moment. We were just like, yeah, you know, that was kind of, you know, if we would have been in the theater, everybody would have been cheering and everything. But I did love the way that they brought him in. You mentioned, you know, that spear that goes through him and you're like, oh, he's here, there he is. Like I loved that. So that was a great way of bringing him in. But yeah, it's hard to pinpoint each move because they fight so fast. You know, and I love how they treated the powers between both characters. Like that going back and forth was super awesome. We got to see a lot of Sub-Zero's powers when he fought Jax earlier in the movie. But this battle in particular, like probably couldn't have done it any better. Like
and three things to point out, like the perfect like pulls from the game. Like, so just in order, the first one is whenever he rips the blood out of somebody, turns it into a sword, and then cuts him with it. 2, when he makes the ice wall, throws him into it. And then 3, when he starts getting his butt kicked in the ring. And then whenever Scorpion goes in for a hit, I can't remember if it was him or if it was Cole that went in for a hit, and Sub-Zero made an ice clone of himself and then jumped out of the way and they got hit. Three moves from the game that when I saw, I was like, oh, I know what these are from. But one part in particular that you said that really got me was the finisher move. Because in the video game, he just rips off his face and his hood and you see a skull and he burns it, but this time you see fire coming out and slowly starts to reveal a skull, and I was like, oh my god, this is Ghost Rider meets Scorpion. I was like, I loved it. I thought it was perfect. They couldn't have done a better job with they want to keep it as far away from being the original thing as they can, so it was a good little transition. Seeing him morph into the skull was something that I enjoyed rather than him just like pulling off his face and so I think it was more practical, and I think that it played a lot better in the movie. So
I was kind of waiting for him to say fatality or like somebody running up after like the fight and then be like fatality, you know.
I was waiting, to be honest with you, I was waiting for a random moment for Scorpion to do his classic move where he like falls back into a pit of fire and then comes back on the other side and hits somebody.
yeah.
I mean, they showed so many of Sub-Zero's move, and literally you just see 2 of Scorpion's, and I guess it's 3-2, but they could have done a lot more, but they didn't. But it was good enough.
Well, my theory would be that this movie is Sub-Zero's movie. The next movie will be Scorpion's movie. So we might get to see, I mean, I'm hoping that that's the case, but maybe if that is the case, then we see more of Scorpion's moves and then, some of those phrases that they kind of saved for later. So hopefully that's the case. But yeah, anything else to add before we go?
Y'all need to watch it. It's such a nostalgia punch in the face. I mean, it's something we haven't gotten, and it's a new story, the same characters, new story, and just it makes you giddy and makes you want to go back and play the video games again.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If you haven't already, I don't know why you've been watching this, talking about it this whole time, but go see it. If you have seen it, go watch it again. Find all those fun Easter eggs and references. It's a good time. I went 7.5 out of 10. Where were you at, Taylor?
I give it about 7.5. That sounds good.
All right. Well, we're going to rate it 7.5. And it looks like that is enough Geek Yak for today. I was Reese. You can find me on social media at Reese_MCK. Taylor, where can people find you?
At Taylor Jackson. The A's or V's. It's that simple. You're expecting of it now.
It's that simple. Well, thank you so much, everyone who tuned in live or are watching us on the replay. We can't thank you enough for the support. We can't thank you enough for subscribing and following us, which you can do on Facebook and YouTube at Random Jam. And yeah, so check out our other videos. We upload a new video every Wednesday at 10 a.m. as much as we can. And go check out some of our other stuff. We've done the Snyder Cut of Justice League. We dove into that. We've done King Kong versus Godzilla, and we have a lot more to come. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time. Stay geeky.